All right. Mayor Studebaker, I believe you got appointed the presiding officer. If you want to call the meeting to order, and then I'll take the roll. I don't know if you're talking, but you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, well, better. This meeting's called to order May 10th, 2021, the Budget Committee of Gold Hill City Council. Roll call, please.
Carol Holm and Larry Holm will not be here tonight. Mark Warwick. I read your lips. Mayor Studebaker.
Here, present.
Councilor Palmer. Councilor Wilson.
Here.
Councilor Hinckley.
Here.
Councilor Bishad.
Here.
Councilor Rigney. Councilor Gina.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Excellent. As city manager, would you like to start off the conversation of our budget committee?
Yeah, I'm going to start by talking about the Pledge of Allegiance. I think from now on, we should just have one person say it, and then everyone else can just like be at attention.
I agree.
That works. Any volunteers? Okay. All right. Let's see if I can get the word straight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow, that went so much smoother. Okay, I hope at this time you've all had a chance to review my second version of the budget. I highlighted the lines that I changed, as I said in the letter to you, but I'm going to review them right now for the listening public. Most of the changes I have to do with personnel. I am adding in another part-time person who will work 20 hours a week. Shannon is going to focus getting trained as a water operator, and so that's going to eventually pull him away from the rest of his duties. And we've talked all the time about how we don't have enough people anyway. So this is going to be a way to have another part-time person. So I rearranged all of the salary requirements for that. On the general fund, I included the amusement tax revenue because I didn't account for it before, and I adjusted a couple of other lines because I realized my numbers were a little low. I adjusted the park section to actually call out a line for the park host. I budgeted $10,000 for that. That's not going to be like a salary because most of these park host jobs are unpaid. It's going to be for the cost of us setting up the pad and getting the electrical and getting connected to the septic tanks at the the restrooms in the park. So that's where those costs are coming from. But I wanted to call it out separately. It is budgeted for because I think we all agree that having the park host is a fantastic idea and it's going to help cut down with all the problems we have in the park. I added money for tree maintenance because we do have a bunch of city trees that are threatening our residents' properties. So now there's money for that. And I added garbage because I realized that I just left that completely blank. So whoops. On the street fund, I didn't detail there. I did up the training on that because if we do buy this new equipment for the guys, they're going to need some training on how to use it properly. So I added some training in the budget for that. The street fund, I took another $5K out of there. They had extra money, so I took it out of that fund to put it in the general fund to help with all those changes that we just talked about. In the water fund, I lowered the cost. That telephone cost at the water treatment plant also includes internet. And so I replaced them with Spectrum. We've been having troubles with the internet out there because it's just old DSL lines and it didn't work very well anyway. And since the plant is automated and they control it from apps remotely, it makes sense that we have good internet there. Plus, I'll be able to better access the security cameras that are at the water treatment plant from City Hall. And it's going to save us money because Spectrum was cheaper than CenturyLink. Right. So I took some of that money away from the payments for Southern Oregon Water Tech because Shannon will be assuming some of those duties over the course of the year. They are excited to work with him. They think it's a great idea too. So I'm not sneaking this past them. They are in on it and they welcome him. I made a couple of other changes today that weren't in your revision, and all they were was I added a couple of lines for training in the water fund. And let's see, I added $1,000 for training in the water fund for some of the expenses that Shannon's going to incur. Because I had lumped all the extra training stuff into parks, but it does make sense. He's using it for water training. It should be in water. So that's where that is now. And I don't think did I add one more training? I think that was it. Because the other ones already had training in them. Stormwater. I added some stormwater training. So those are all the changes I made. It's still a balanced budget. I still have enough revenues to cover all the expenditures. Do you have any questions for me? I've talked to a lot of you over the course of the last couple of weeks, so I think I've answered most of your questions to this point, and that is where all the revisions are coming from. If nobody else has any questions, you are welcome to pass a motion to approve the budget. The other thing, the budget committee is required to officially approve our property tax rate. It's not changing from last year. It's still going to be the same general statutory tax levy at the rate of 1.6792% for every $1,000 of property. It's the same rate that we've always had. That's mandated by the state. We can't change it even if we wanted to. You could vote to take less of it, but why would we do that? So, yeah. So if the budget committee wants to approve the budget and the tax rate, then it will end up before the council, and in June it'll all get approved.
Jessica, I just have a couple questions.
Yeah, sure.
So the transfers out of both the water and sewer funds to the general fund, that doesn't occur very often, does it? I mean,
no. And in fact, last year we transferred money out of the general fund into other funds. It's not typical. I really think the problem is our general fund, a lot of that revenue, it's money that comes from the state, and because of COVID, numbers were down all around. And so our general fund revenue was less than this year than it has been in past years. So
yeah, I get the only reason I ask is because those are, in my understanding, those are considered enterprise funds, and typically, not that you can't transfer out, but I think in general, you want to keep those funds there in those accounts, but
you are absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean,
this is the one time. This is the one time when we can actually transfer them. That's why I want to make these transfers happen now during.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a criticism in any way. I just wanted to understand.
Yeah, no, I had to get the money from somewhere, and those were the funds that had money in them, and that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Okay.
The only thing that I had still a question on was, I believe it's under public safety, was if we do have any additional monies, if we could look at fire mitigation, not for this year, but coming up for next year at the end of the fiscal year when we're going through this process again. So perhaps next year we could get started on fire mitigation early before, because like fire season starts next week and we're not through the budget process yet for the new year. So are we looking at any kind of a reserve to get started on fire season early next year?
Well, that money, because most of our fire mitigation, really, it occurs in the parks. And so I considered that all under parks maintenance. Like we're going to talk with the the Blackberry people about coming back out and doing an annual thing. Like that's all included under parks repairs and maintenance. I didn't specifically call it out for fire mitigation.
Okay.
And of course, we probably need that conversation in January or February. As now we're what, May and June? June, typically they start fighting fires, maybe earlier this year. So all of those bodies, many of those bodies will be gone and not available.
Yeah, it's why I just wanted to kind of look at, make sure that we were having money stockpiled for the end of next fiscal year.
Yep, I'm with you.
Does the city have an ordinance requiring property owners to basically keep tall grasses down, mowed?
Yes.
I believe it's under Title 8.
Right, and that's why we just passed this ordinance so that we could write tickets for people who aren't, that are creating hazards in their yards, because the way the code book was worded, we couldn't write tickets against anything in that section, but that's the section that says keep the weeds down. So now we have the ability to write tickets and have a little bit of enforcement there to help with that.
Yeah, I mean, as an example, we've got a lot directly west of us, a 100 by 150 lot that's got foot tall high grass right now, and normally every year it just dies off and turns brown, but there's definitely, and I try to knock the weeds down past our property line, but I know in Medford, if you don't have if you have an open lot and you don't have your grass mowed by June 1st, the city will come in and mow it and bill the property owner. So I don't know if that's something that could be looked at down the road.
Yeah, so that is part of that is in our code book. We could do that once we follow all of the steps. That could happen.
Because I don't want to weed whack my whole neighbor's whole lot.
Yeah.
They can do it.
We will begin the education thrust of letting people know in the next month's water bill that code enforcement will be starting with these new changes, and 10 inches is the max height for grass in a person's yard. I like that idea of saying, you can do it the cheap way or you can do it the expensive way. You mow it, or June 1st, the city comes in and sends you a bill. That may motivate some folks to get out there and do it themselves.
Yes.
Jessica, are we waiting for a motion?
If nobody has any other questions about the budget, then yeah.
I will motion to approve the budget for fiscal year 21-22. Yes?
I'll second it.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
When does the public get opportunity to speak? Or
The last meeting was the public hearing and nobody showed up. But it will go back before the council and there will be another public hearing at that point. So there will be another opportunity. But yeah, they had it and they didn't come.
and that's not on the agenda for tonight.
No, it's not on the agenda for tonight.
Okay, thank you.
I still did notice the meeting, and I hung a sign up on the door. This was more like, it wasn't a public hearing, but it was still a chance for public comment, and no one signed up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mark Warwick,
Yes.
Mayor Studebaker,
Yes.
Councilor Wilson,
Yes.
Councilor Hinckley,
Yes.
Councilor Bichad,
Yes.
Councilor Rigney,
Muted, buddy.
Councilor Gina.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes, and now the budget will move to the council. Thank you for your time, and even though Carol didn't make it to any of the meetings, she definitely came and had meetings with me about the budget. She did participate.
Great.
Thank you for all the work you've done, Jessica. It looks really good this year.
Yeah, I'm excited. I had 2 good years worth of data, so I was able to make an accurate budget this year. I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Great. Good job.
We appreciate the effort.
Yeah, thank you.
We ready to wrap things up, Jessica?
Yes, that was everything.
Okay, this meeting of the Budget Committee is adjourned.